Well, hello. Welcome back to PsychRockCentral, where Psych Rock lives on. Today we're going to be going over Kaleidoscope's Beacon from Mars album from 1968. A little more about the band. They were an American psych rock band versed in folk music, and funnily enough, around the same time, there was a British band also named Kaleidoscope that was doing psychedelic pop music, but today we're going to be focusing on the American band. They were known for their exotic instrumentation, which included a lot of sitars, a lot of violas, violins, cellos, a lot of exotic instruments from the Middle East, some from more European traditional classical music. They were also generally known for their fusion of Middle Eastern culture and American folktale, which we'll get into more with the actual review. And they were cited by Jimmy Page in 2010, Led Zeppelin, as his favorite band of all time, which I thought was interesting to share. A little more about the music here. It's a mystical transfiguration of American folk music. It's as though it's country music played through the lens of Middle Eastern folk, sitarisme, and decorum. And we see this mostly on tracks like Greenwood Sidey, which is a traditional track cover, and Life Will Pass You By, which is one of their originals. But on top of the excellent short-form tracks, there are also longer tracks, and these long tracks are actually influenced by Middle Eastern raga that was brought over by Ravi Shankar and later popularized by the Beatles around 1965, all the way until around 1967, 1968. It's melodic, it's hypnotic, and it's noteworthy fusions of Eastern and Western folk traditions, which solidify the band's unique approach to their songwriting. My favorite track, personally, is Taksim. I'm going to go over my notes. Taksim is almost like a saucer full of secrets from Pink Floyd or Interstellar Overdrive, played through the lens of the Eastern traditional of folk music. It's got a lot of sitar, it's got a lot of tabla. It's almost like this volcanic chant that eventually just erupts into a climax around 8 to 9 minutes in and then settles down for the last 2 minutes. It starts off with this very nice, very hypnotic, slow guitar passage, and then eventually erupts with the sitar and the viola and all the other instruments that they had on display. I think it's an excellent psychedelic rock track, one of the pioneering raga rock tracks, and one of my personal favorites of all time. So, in conclusion, very short episode. It was adventurous and ambitious for its time. It's psych rock music for those looking for a more exotic Eastern sound infused with Western folk and country. This was most popular in the underground, especially for those tired of the Beatles pop music shtick. I think it did a job well. It found a very niche audience, but that's what it was going for anyway. Despite that being on a major label at the time, Epic, which was a subsidiary of Columbia. Long-form psych rock masterpieces, which also included the title track, which I never mentioned. Going on for the title track, it's a dizzying, distorted piece of acid rock, which is new for the band, with a very hypnotic guitar refrain, hypnotic guitar passage that dominates the entire song, and the rest of the band kind of improvise on that over 12 minutes. So very, very good, almost Interstellar Overdrive, more like a Jimi Hendrix style improvisation, almost Grateful Dead even. A lot of American Western psychedelic rock music in that one track, which makes sense coming from an American band around the same time. It combines everything great about the early Pink Floyd, early like Grateful Dead, Jefferson Airplane, all this psychedelic rock bullshit, and the growing raga rock movement from Ravi Shankar. I think I pronounced raga wrong. Anyway, it's a masterpiece of the East and West fusions, and by that I mean it's like a celebration of American folk traditions, the evolving Eastern raga, and even the pioneering jazz fusion scene. There's not a whole lot of jazz rock, but the style of improvisation, the techniques, the instrumentation, even the songs and the compositions, very similar to jazz fusion, and it sets out to be very similar to jazz fusion in what it tries to achieve, which is a stylistic blend between rock and, instead of jazz music, it's rock and Eastern music, Eastern folk music, world music. So they're very similar, almost kindred spirits in a way. But I think this record is very successful at achieving its own blend of fusions, whereas jazz fusion later on was successful because it infused rock with jazz. Just thought I'd briefly go over that, but I think it's a very excellent masterpiece of the band's work, of psychedelic rock, of fusion work, even jazz fusion. I think it's pretty solid, pretty excellent. So I would give it an 8 out of 10. It's a solid record. Again, not the best out there, but I think 8 out of 10 is definitely worth your time. I'd say if you found a record or a CD of this album, I'd say you should probably buy it. But I think that's going to be it. You can find my blog on the YouTube header. I don't have the ability to do cards right now. I'm not in the partners program. But you can check out the blog. You can check out my Rate Your Music page. I upload the reviews for these every Tuesday and Friday. And I'm almost always active on my Rate Your Music every day, just trying to get as many reviews as possible in. So check those out if you're interested. But that's going to do it for today. Peace.